So right now, Zionfelix is seated in the high office of the mayor of Mechelen province here in Antwerp, Belgium. We're about to have a conversation because this year Ghana is having our election come December 7, and then again here in Mechelen or in Belgium, they'll be having their local elections 13th October 2024. So it is right for me to see the mayor of this city and see how he's helping this city develop. My name is Zionfelix and I'm here with Bart, who happens to be a prominent Belgian politician known for his transformative leadership as the mayor of Mechelen since 2001 and as a key member of the Flemish Liberal Party, Open VLD. Under his guidance, Mechelen has become a model city for integration, social cohesion, and urban renewal. Somers has also served as the Minister of Living Together in the Flemish government, focusing on integration, civic participation, and social harmony. His work has earned him significant international recognition, including the prestigious World Mayor Prize in 2016, awarded by the City Mayors Foundation for his exceptional efforts in promoting multiculturalism and making Mechelen a beacon of inclusivity. Additionally, in 2018, was honored with the Innovating Mayor Award from European Commission for its forward-thinking policies in urban development and managing diversity. I present to you the mayor of Mechelen, Bart Somers. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. What an introduction.
Yeah, because you are doing a lot for the city.
I'm mayor already for 24 years, but politics is not a work of one man. It's always teamwork, and also together with the citizens. That's important, that you can engage and mobilize all positive energy in a city to make a change, to prepare the future, to create more opportunities for everybody. I believe very strongly in that. It's teamwork.
Okay. Congratulations on your past records that you've made Mechelen a good place for your people to live in. How did you enter into politics?
When I was a young guy, I was already enormously interested in society. And my father, I am the first in my family that could go to university. And my father also wanted to go, but he had not the money to do it and the opportunity. So he told me every time he brought me to university, he said, you are not only studying for yourself, but you're also doing it to make a better society, a better city. So you have to use the chances you have, the opportunities you get to try to change something positive in society. So yeah, I was, as a young guy, already motivated to do something societal. And politics was a very interesting way to do it, because there you can really make a difference.
So what motivated you to focus on changing Mechelen or working here at Mechelen?
You know, when I was a young guy, Mechelen changed very, very fast. When I was young, it was a monocultural city, and now we have 140 nationalities, so it's a super diverse city at the moment. And in the beginning, it was very difficult for people and also for politicians to understand what can we do to make it a success. So for me, it was, let's say, something, a little bit of the proudness being a part of this city, that I wanted to lift up the city and try to solve the discussions, the negativity around diversity. Some extremist parties were very negative about diversity, about migrants, newcomers in society, and I tried to change it, because it's the reality. So you have to cope with the reality and make a success of it. And one of the things I tried to understand was that people have a lot of identities. I'm not only a Belgian guy, I'm also a father, I like to read books, I'm a European, so you have a lot of levels, like everybody has. And there's one level we have in common in a city, that's that we are citizens of that city, and our kids will grow up here, and our future is here. So let's team up around that identity and try to avoid segregation. Because if you don't live together with it, if you don't meet each other, if you don't live in the same neighborhood, go to the same schools, you get weird ideas about the other one. It becomes a stranger, it becomes even maybe dangerous in your mind. And in reality, it's just another human being that wants to have a good life and wants to do the good thing. So try to create links, try to connect, try to bridge between persons. I think that's one of the basic ideas we try to develop in Mechelen.
Okay, so since being in office from 2001 till date, what do you think you've been doing it right for the people to love you, for them to always retain you in power?
I think they saw progress. It was the most insecure city of Belgium, of Flanders. That's the biggest part of Belgium. Before I became mayor, now it's the safest. Child poverty was the second highest. Now it's the third lowest.
Wow.
Our economy is very strong. So we try to create, let's say, ambition, but always look back, because you can be ambitious, but not for the happy few. You have to be ambitious for everybody. For example, yesterday we opened the library in the city.
I saw that. Yeah.
It's a very beautiful place, but why do we invest so much in such a place? Because it's a place for everybody. Yeah. And it's in the first place, it's a place for people who don't have books at home, who don't have a place to study at home. They can come there in a beautiful building, it's their building. So it creates proudness, it creates beauty for everybody, and I think that's an important thing.
Since 2001, what would you say has been your biggest success as the mayor of the city?
The biggest success? It's something immaterial. When I started as a mayor, nobody wanted to be a volunteer, nobody wanted to, let's say, build up society. There were only in 2 streets, let's say, street parties organized by the people themselves, because they didn't like the city anymore. They were afraid of the city. They were angry on the city because they felt abandoned, alone. They didn't see opportunities. So they were thrown back on their own. Today, we have been chosen as the voluntary city of Europe. So we have the highest percentage people who want to do on a voluntary basis something for somebody else. Help kids with homework, help elderly people, organize the neighborhood, do something for nature, in a lot of areas. But it's the energy, the positive energy that exists today in Mechelen that, for me, one of the things that makes me the most proud. You have to know, my family lives here already since the 16th century. I'm the 14th generation, so you have a very strong historical link with the city. And now you see the city is flourishing. And that, of course, makes me a little bit proud.
Let's look at some of the challenges that you've been facing since 2001 till date.
Mm-hmm. One of the challenges, let's say one of the things we have to do is equal opportunities. That's all over the world like that. You have people who live in poverty, kids who live in poverty, generation after generation. How can you lift them up? How can you give them a real opportunity in life? How can you give them work, a job, an income? So those things are always very important. And I believe it's a complex thing, certainly in a Western society, which in fact is averagely very rich. But even in a rich city as Mechelen, people live in poverty. How can you lift them up? Sometimes they have mental problems, sometimes they have not enough skills, sometimes they didn't see the way to do it, sometimes they live in a family that's broken and where there's only, let's say, aggression and negativity. So how can we reach out for them? How can we help them? How can we build it up? And that's a very, let's say, individual approach you need. Again, you cannot do it with a big program that helps everybody in the same way. You need to go to the individual and look what does he need, what does he really need, and how can we enforce them, empower them to have a better future. And that's something we work on, let's say, every day.
Oh, okay. So occasionally you help such people?
Yeah, we help them, but not in a way, not in a paternalistic way, not in a way, let's say, like starting from the idea that they don't have skills, that you only have to give them things. Okay. No, you have to learn them that they also have, let's say, capacity to take their life in their own hands. But sometimes you have to help them. You have to learn them how to organize their life, help them to get a diploma, help them to find a job. But at the end of the day, you empower the person that he can be independent again, that he can stand on his own feet. So it's not a paternalistic, it's more an emancipatorial look at people.
I hear in the Western world, women and children are very, very important to the society. How are kids and women treated here in the city of Mechelen?
Now, to be honest, men and women are here completely equal. Okay. Even we speak about, and I'm already 60 years old, so I also saw the change. I saw the emancipation of women, and today we speak about the century of the women, and I'm convinced of it. The percentage of women going to the university is higher than men. Yeah. So I think in the future women will play maybe even a dominant role in society, and it's a good thing that women are emancipated. Why? They have the same skills as men. Sometimes they are complementary, but in the past we threw away their energy, we threw away their intelligence, we threw away their capacities. Now we use them together to make a better society. And kids, yeah, that's also something in Western society. I saw that also a change. Of course, they are very precious because a normal family only has 1 or 2 kids, but that's also sometimes a danger. Sometimes they are overprotected. So that's a difficult, let's say, a task for every parent, how to give your kids freedom, how do you make your kids strong, and at the same time, how do you protect them? Give them freedom, but also protection, and that's a difficult balance sometimes.
What are some of the strategies that you've implemented for the past a little over 24 years that has worked for your administration as the mayor of this city?
It's difficult to say it in one word, but I think for me the basis I think trust is something important. People will not, let's say, do well for society if they don't trust the society. And they have to trust their neighbor and they have to trust the government. So the government has to be transparent, open, fair, not corrupt, and secondly, you have to trust your neighbor, so you have to know him. And those are 2 important things. And to create that, you need safety. So I invested a lot in a safe society. Okay. There's a lot of police, but also a lot of prevention workers, both. Secondly, we try to create a clean public area so that people are a little bit proud of their city. It's a nice city to live in. And the third thing, development, progress. People have to see that things are changing in the good way. And if you have a combination of those 3 things, people will start helping. They will start using their energy. And what you need to do, and understand very well, all knowledge is not at City Hall. Knowledge is with the people. People know a lot. They are often smarter than the administration. Yeah. So give them the space to help, to create, to make businesses, to organize themselves and support that. Don't be afraid of that as you are a mayor, but see it as your allies, as your friends who can make the city better.
Okay, talking about making them as your friends, how is the relationship between the mayor and then the people? Because there are certain parts of the world that the mayor see themselves as the demigod of the people. You can approach me, whatever I do is right. How is the relationship between you and your people?
Very, very direct, very open, sometimes very critical, and that's a good thing because I don't have power because God gave me the power. I have the power because people gave me the power, and it's not unconditional. They have to be critical because I can abuse power, so they have to control me all the time, and they have to ask critical things, and I have to convince them that I'm doing the right thing. So. To give you a practical example, I bicycle through the streets. It's a bicycle city. People speak with me all the time. Sometimes they are very direct, sometimes they are very critical, sometimes they are maybe verbal, very offensive. It's a very open relationship. It's not that they look up to me as somebody very, very important. They respect me. Of course, after 24 years, you also become not only the mayor, but a little bit the father of the city. That's a logical thing, because people always saw you as a mayor, but still critical. They are critical. It's a very open relation, and sometimes I have to listen to them all the time, because I can have beautiful plans, but if I don't have, let's say, the support of people, I have to change plans. I often have had to do it, or correct them a little bit, or think otherwise. Sometimes I have to convince them. Yep. Because if I don't do that, I will not be re-elected. And it's not, the big ambition may not be being re-elected. I'm at an age that being not re-elected is not a drama, but you have to be re-elected because you think you have good ideas for the city. That's important. You have a plan, a vision of how the city can develop, and you have to convince people, and all the time also listen very carefully, because sometimes you say, I didn't know that, even after 24 years, I didn't know that problem in that neighborhood, or I didn't know that we could solve things like that, or wow, what a good idea, what a brilliant plan, let's use it. That's the relation. It's an open, horizontal, respectful but critical relation.
So how do the people share their opinion, make you know what they think about your policies?
Oh, we organize nearly every day, myself, but also the vice mayors. We have a team of vice mayors. Nearly every day we are at one or two places in town, discussing with people on an open basis about plans to when we want to renovate a street, when we want to make a park, when we have a new program for, let's say, the industrial area. We always go to the people, we invite them to come, and sometimes they are with 20, sometimes they are with 500, to discuss the plans. We co-create things, we try to listen to them, we come back afterwards to say, okay, we have listened, we have talked with administration, this is an alternative version after what you said, are you satisfied now? Sometimes we organize small referenda around things to know what people want to know. So it's a constant dialogue, a constant participation project we do. So people in Mechelen go to, let's say, such meetings maybe 2-3 times a year around different topics. It can be everything. And sometimes people organize themselves. They come and they say, we want to speak with the mayor because we have a problem here. Okay. Then you have to go. You cannot say, I don't want to go. You always go and you always discuss, even if it is difficult, even if they are angry on you because they think you have done something wrong, then certainly you have to go to listen to them, sometimes apologize if you have made a mistake, sometimes correct yourself or convince them. That's a process, that's democracy. Okay. And that all the time there is...
Have they been stopped before? Because from where I come from at times, you seek for permit to go on a demonstration. And whilst on the road hitting to your destination, you see police stopping you all around, firing gases, and it become disastrous on the road. Has it ever happened here where people want to see the mayor and then they are stopped?
No, of course they would have been stopped if they want to enter my bureau. That's the line. You can protest. You ask you can ask a permit. We have to give the permit. Yeah. You have the right to protest. So you protest. There's no riot. People are. It's not the climate is not so, let's say, tense or so negative that there would be violence. But sometimes people protest, and it's their right to. Even sometimes I go to them when they are protesting to listen, and then of course they are motivated, and that's not an easy moment. But you have to be strong at that moment. You have to listen. You have to accept it. It's part of democracy, and they appreciate it if you do it. Even if they don't agree with you, they appreciate that. It's not because you differ from opinion that you're an enemy. If you differ from opinion, that's democracy. Not everybody thinks the same thing, so you need dialogue. You need to listen. But never has been any riots. We don't see that. But there are protests. Also in city council, then it's full. The public area is full, and then sometimes people are shouting if they don't agree. But the rule is, in city council, you may listen, you may be present, but you may not interrupt, because that's between the chosen members. But sometimes people are so emotional that they start shouting. That's a moment or 2, 3, then everything becomes calm again. And then you can work on. On
a lighter note, you said you at times ride bicycle on the road. From where I come from, somebody will ask, why would a mayor, be riding? Because from where I come from again, you see police escorts leading our people, driving through traffic to their offices. So here, why would a mayor decide to drive on a bicycle?
Because I don't know if you say it in English, I don't want to live in an ivory tower. You don't want to be above the people. I know those. In some countries, it happens that you have military or police around you. You drive in a big car away from the people. Then you are disconnected. I'm part of the people. I have to be part of the people. I cannot be a mayor if I not be part of the people. I live in an ordinary house, in an ordinary street. There is never police that protects me. If I would be threatened to be killed, for example, or somebody, a gangster or whatever, would say we want to do harm to him, then the police will protect me at that moment. Sometimes it happens in Belgium that the politician is protected for a few weeks against a crazy guy. Mm-hmm. But never police. You walk through the streets, you go out, you have a direct dialogue. Some people like you, vote for you, some people don't, but if they don't like you, they're still polite. Maybe they will not say hello, but that's the worst thing that can happen, that they don't say no hello. Or they say, Mayor, I don't agree. But that's all.
Is it a personal decision, or is the country's policy?
I think it's a tradition here in Belgium. People discuss a lot, people disagree, people are sometimes on Facebook and on social media very, very extreme in what they say, but on the streets, people are polite,
Wow.
they are rather respectful, okay, it's they see it as my job, and some people say he's doing a good job, some people say he's not doing a good job, but it's not to the person. They make a difference between your role as a politician and the person you are, and as a person you are a citizen like everybody else. But the moment I would start living like, or surrounded with big cars, living in a very big house, being, let's say, abusing my position, then people will become very angry.
But it's not risky, I mean, for your life as a politician, because maybe you might take a decision that somebody might not be happy with it and might have maybe a plan to harm you.
You live in a crazy world, and social media makes it crazier and crazier, because if you look to social media all the time, and a lot of people do that, you are in a tunnel, because the social media works like that. You get the most radical ideas first, and always radical and more radical, and you think that's normal to be radical. You know, it's normal to be human, to be polite, to be gentle, to be let's say, moderated in your thoughts. Of course, you may ask change, and in some places in the world, change is absolutely needed, and a radical change is needed. But you could say it's dangerous. You can have easier life. Of course, you know, a politician, to be honest, my personality, I want to be in the show lights. I want to be seen. I want to be on the podium. That's maybe that's my weakness. Maybe I want to be on stage, and I like it. That's true. But it makes, okay, that's something I need it maybe psychologically. But at the same time, it's also still a very true engagement, because I could have easier life. I'm a lawyer. I could be a lawyer in a big firm and earn much more money than I do now, and live in anonymity. And to be honest, a mayor in Belgium has to work very hard. We have weeks of 60, 70 hours, and it's hard work. It's not only be at receptions. It's working at the desk. Understand problems, try to convince people, make contracts, develop things. So it's intellectual, very hard work, long days, at special hours in the weekend all the time. So family is always a little bit complaining that you're not at home enough. That's the price you pay. Maybe I don't want to have an easy life in the anonymity. Maybe I want to be on stage. That's some people. Maybe you are also a person like that who like to be on stage. So maybe we have that in common.
So let's look at come October 13. We are going to the polls. I mean, why should the people give their vote to you, Mr.
I think for two reasons. I, of course, have a track record. People agree with that. I think even opposition agrees he has done a good job. Some will say it's time for the next person. That's normal. That you say now we need something else. But I think we need to stay on track. It's in Europe. There are difficult times. There is a lot of, let's say, polarization, a lot of extremism, extreme right, but also extreme left. People don't believe anymore so much in the basic values of our society, human rights and things like that, democracy, rule of law. They contest it more than in the past. So I think it's such a difficult time, as the sea is very unstable. You need a ship that can go in the right direction. And I think we have to stay on track. And to stay on track, I think I'm the best person to do it. I have the absolute majority. I'm the only city with an absolute majority. It's also a coalition of political parties that support me. We will not have an absolute majority again. It's unusual. It doesn't exist normally in Belgium, so we will lose a few percentages. But I think we still stay the biggest party, and with the coalition we can work on.
So I'm here with the mayor of Mechelen, Bart, is having a conversation with him come 13th October 2024. They are going to the polls, and I just asked him why his people should give the powers to him again for him to continue the good work that he's doing here in the city. My name is Zionfelix. I'll be back after the break. When I come, we talk more about what he's been doing to help this city and how we can also tap into what he has done so far and also develop our nation, Ghana.
When you're here in Ghana, I know that you're looking for a reliable, trustworthy real estate partner. Well, I have a suggestion for you.
Alakados Properties is ready to relieve you from the stress of finding units and setting up viewings or sell your house. Connect with Alakados Properties. We are specialized in sales and rentals of properties, property management, and consulting.
Hi, my name is Margaret. I'm the head of sales and marketing at Agaze Homes. We are so grateful to Alakados Properties for their work, their expertise, and support in selling our homes.
Hello, my name is Jumoke Anos. I'm the owner of Luxor Garden Apartments. Alakados Properties is a real estate agency we work with, and we are committed to giving their guests the best experience in accommodation.
They are an organization that I believe you can trust. They don't charge agent fees. They don't charge viewing fees. Even when you're going to see the property, they will sponsor you to go see the property.
You can also rely on Alakados Properties to find your long or short-term accommodation whilst in Ghana.
Come back from the break. I'm still here in the office of the mayor of Mechelen. He's been developing this place, making people enjoy their living over here. He's been in office since 2001, and come 13th October 2024, he goes to the post again. And he said all the good reasons why you should vote for him. Imagine somebody being in power since 2001. He's been doing a lot for this country, this city. And I'm even joined by Anita Nyami, who is a Ghanaian, also here doing so well in the political space. And then I think she was mentored by His Excellency. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
And how has it been? I mean, for the short time that you've been in the administration world?
It has been a journey. First of all, yes, I was already engaged in a youth council.
Okay.
I had a mandate of 3 years. And I've lived long enough actually in Mechelen to know how Mechelen is a bit orchestrated. And then I met this big man, Bart who gave me this opportunity as a young person to engage myself with the city. So I took it with my both hands.
And how was the feeling? I mean, getting a mayor to give you this opportunity?
It was big. I just contacted my parents. I was like, Papa, Mama, Bart has asked me, and they were like, wow, wow. So for me, it was also a bit of a shock first, but then an excitement, and then I need to prepare my mind for the bigger things, because it's not that I'm going to be a meaning only for my own people, but it's now about whole of Mechelen. So I'm presenting whole of Mechelen, and I had to take that identity upon myself. Yeah.
And for how long now? Since
Yeah, this is actually the first time that I'm going to be joining the election on the 13th of October. So it's quite new for me. But with the past experience, I was also elected for the Youth Council as a youth advisor with 681 votes.
Wow.
The first time. So now I don't know how much, but I have to gear up because Mechelen, it's a big city and it's new, of course. So yeah.
So what are the preparations towards the 13th of October?
Yeah, I'm doing my best to just talk with people because, as he already mentioned, the importance is to have the connection with people. You have to talk with people, ask them how they feel about their society, what can be done better, and also make them understand that it's not everything that we can do, but we are here to do what is possible. So that's what I'm, in the meantime, doing.
And what are you preaching to the people when you go to them?
First of all, it's important to introduce yourself because it's not that I'm a known person compared to consumers. So present myself and give also which vision, ideas that I have for the city of Mechelen. They can agree with me, they can disagree, but at the end of time, it's important that they have their say. So for me, one of the most important things is actually hearing people's voice and translating it in ways that we can be meaningful to them. Yeah.
And what is your vision? I mean, when you go there, what are some of the visions that you tell them that when they give you the power, you're going to help do change?
Yes, as he actually already mentioned, first of all, it's important that their voice are heard, to give them the feeling or the assurance that their voice are heard. So for me, it's important to have a greater and bigger idea of participation. How can we connect the people with their city? How can they have a say in the things that are being done in our city? It's not everything that can be done, but it's important to give them their voice. So that's one of the things that I'm standing for. Also mobility for people that are maybe with physical conditions that cannot place themselves. I want to also mean something for them. And then of course I cannot forget about the youth, the young people, because most of the time it's said that the young people are the future. But if they are the future, then they have to be also involved in their own society. So also think about ideas and ways that we can also bring them more to the front page of Mechelen.
That is Anita Nyame, a Ghanaian youth right here in Mechelen, also doing so well. I'll sit down with her and then for us to have a proper conversation about herself and what she's also doing here in Mechelen, and then the 13th October post. Let me go back to Mayor and I have more conversation with her. Bart Somers happens to be the name. He's the Mayor of Mechelen since 2001. That is to tell you that he's done a lot for the city. And then it is time for us to also tap in his knowledge and also help where we come from, Ghana and Africa as a whole. Honorable, how do you see politics in Africa and Ghana?
First of all, I have to say Anita is a big talent and she will be elected in the local community. And it's important because we want to have the diversity of the city also in city council. And she will be, I think, the first black African person that will be elected in our city council. We have already people with Moroccan origin, Armenian, and so on. The diversity is present in the city council, but we want to see it grow. People from Ghana are not already a long time in Mechelen, let's say 20 years maybe. So it's important, it's kind of emancipation process, and we can only become better. If you have diversity in your decision-making process, you become a stronger city.
And what have we seen in Anita?
Two things. First of all, she is a very highly educated person who is very outspoken, but at the same time has the empathy to listen, to try to connect, to try to understand what people say, because that knocking on doors during elections, we do it 2 times at every door. It's a very intense process. It's a small discussion you have at the front door, 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, where people can say they feel hurt, but they also say things to you. You have to understand very well what they say. Sometimes they speak about a small problem, but that small problem, after that small problem, there is something more important hidden. And you have to understand that and bring it back to the city hall. And she does that in a great way. And the second thing, of course, we want to be the mirror of society, so we need out every group, out every part, out every community of the city, we need people that work together to make our city a success, and she can play that role, I think, in a brilliant way.
Okay. Anita, I wish you all the best come 13th October. I hope that they vote for you, and I'm very sure, as Mayor say. So,
back to Africa.
Back to Africa. How do you see politics in Africa?
Africa is a very big continent. There is diversity in Africa also in politics in Africa. I think I'm not a big specialist, but I think some countries are doing very well. In other countries, you see they struggle more with the challenges. And I think Africa is the same as Europe. We also see big difference between countries and also in countries. Of course, the big challenge, I think, of a lot of African countries is how do we create wealth for everybody? How do we create social equality? That's maybe a bigger challenge in Africa than we have. Of course, you have the population growth. It has a positive effects. You don't have a very big amount of people who are, let's say, elderly people. You have young people. That creates dynamism in a society. But at the same time, of course, it gives a big pressure to the environment, for example, to the resources you have. And so it's something. I think there are a few things that are different towards the European challenges, but I'm very optimistic and hopeful. The times I go to Africa, I've not been there so many. I've never been in Ghana, for example, but you see change. You see the possibilities. You see progress. I think Africa is a part of the future. I think the 21st century will be the century of the African, let's say, step forwards. I strongly believe in it. But as a liberal, I think it's important that you do it in a democratic way, that you do it in respect for each other, that you don't make the mistake of looking everything through, let's say, a communitarian view, where the only people you trust are the people with your same ethnical background. You need to bridge. And the diversity of Africa is even bigger than in Europe, and we see how difficult it is in Europe. So I think that's one of the big challenges of tomorrow. How do you create in a multi-ethnical state a real democracy, a real rule of law, a real, let's say, equality between people and real understanding between people? I think that's a challenge.
And one major challenge that people do talk about is corruption. Do we have corrupt leaders in Europe as well?
We have, but I think because let's say our institutions are longer in place. We have generations of people who have grown up and lived in let's say a country with the rule of law and democracy, the classical things. So it's less accepted, I think, here. There is more transparency about it. You will end in prison if you do it. Certainly, there is a lot of control on it. It's really, there has been also control, and that's normal. They have to control me. Control of police, to look in the papers. Has he done everything well? The tax office has controlled me already 2 or 3 times during my lifetime to see if is he corrupt or not, and then it's okay. But I think that's something you have to fight very hard on, because in a corrupt society, people will not, let's say, it will corrupt the people also, because if they see if the leader is corrupt, the big men are corrupt, why shouldn't I be corrupt? And that's something that makes a society sick from inside, and that has to be changed. And you know, when I came here, before I was mayor, was still the rule in Belgium that somebody who wants to work with the city council has to be from the same political party. So I came here, I came out of opposition. Nobody who worked in the city hall, or nearly nobody, had any political connection with me. And I had a choice. Will I now take my opportunity to put this city hall full of people with my political card? I haven't done it. I say, no, those people stay. But from now on, we're going to select people on an objective way, not because they belong to a party, but because they have the capacity to do it.
Not because they belong to your party or...
If I had to do it otherwise, the system had still exists today. I did that, I broke the system in that way, because the people who were appointed by those other politicians, they were surprised at the beginning. They didn't trust it. They say, when will I lose my job? And then they started to get, let's say, trust in me, and their minds opened also. They say, okay, maybe we can work in that way also, because of course there were capable people also with that. So what you need is a kind of, let's say, political leadership that at a certain moment say, no, when they are elected, doesn't say, now it's my time to grab. No, now it's my time to make the things right. The most beautiful example in Africa is still Nelson Mandela. I adore that man, because he came out of prison. He was very mistreated by a racist regime, apartheid. And he came out of prison. He was for decades in prison. He came out and he didn't shout at revenge. He shouted, let's try to live together now. And that's something I think in every country we have to try to do it.
There are so many things that I would want to talk to Mr. Somers about. I mean, but I want us to tackle 3 things: development, poverty, and education. I mean, there are a lot of them, but we can't talk about everything right now. Let's look at how Africa can also be developed. Let's even bring it down to where I come from, Ghana. How we can be like Belgium in the next 5 years, but how have you been doing it for Belgium to be developed under you for the past 20 plus years, that we can also learn from it?
I don't know Ghana enough. I don't know what resources they have and so on, but the basic thing I think, and it works everywhere, whatever continent we live in, that is create a context where people who want to work, who have creativity, who have good ideas, can develop them. So create the rule of law, create, let's say, a climate of certainty that if I do my best and I work, I don't have to go to beg at an administration that is corrupt to give me the permit to do it, and I have to pay for it. And today I have to pay 5% taxes, and next week I have to pay 50% taxes. That instability kills every progress. So you need stability, you need a rule of law, and you need space for those people who are creative to do their job, because if they can build up enterprises, if they can build up, let's say, jobs, everybody will win with it. And then create a fair tax system. Everybody has to pay. And the people with a lot of money, they have to pay more. And the poor people have to be supported. So those basic things, how do you translate it concretely in your country? I don't know. I'm not the arrogant guy that says you have to do it that every country has to do it in the same way. But if you don't have that system, all the positive energy that is in every one of us will be lost.
Okay. How does Belgium make sure that every individual who is operating a business here pays tax?
This is not a paradise.
Okay. Almost every business.
No. There a lot of things go wrong and so on. It's a human society.
Yeah.
It's never perfect. And luckily, because otherwise you don't need politicians anymore.
Yeah.
I'll lose my job.
If you do everything today, there's nothing to be done tomorrow.
We need to progress all the time. But yeah, we try, and the political discussion all the time is how can we make that better? How can we, for example, those people who are very rich and don't pay enough taxes because they know how to avoid it, how can we ask them to pay a fair share? How can we support poor people? But also, how can we motivate those people who are poor to find a job? Because you cannot only live from the system, you also have to give in. You cannot always say, what can the city or the country do for me? The basic thing is, what can I do for the city, for the country, for my family? That's the basic thing, and that's a permanent discussion. It's not an easy thing. There is not one straight answer to it, because, for example, a social democrat or a socialist will think differently than me about some things. We have discussions. Sometimes we can make a compromise. That's a good thing. I listen often to opposition because they tell not only stupid things. Maybe I say, in election times I say they are all stupid because I want to, but I know they are not stupid. I know they have also good ideas. And sometimes I learn to correct my ideas. If you are some time in politics, you understand there is not one way to progress, there are different ways to progress. Yeah. And maybe sometimes you have to combine it. Give you an example. My city was a very poor city. I developed it a lot, and I said middle class have to come back because they left town. Because middle class has money, but has also social capital, cultural capital to organize the city in a better way. They came back. Now houses are too expensive because all middle class wants to live here. So the prices go up. Young people like Anita cannot afford a house anymore. So I have to correct it. I have to think, okay, I was successful, but it has a price. Now I have to correct that price. So you have to change a little bit politics now. Now we have to build cheaper houses so that also poorer people can afford a house. So that's all the time like that. The world changes and you have to change with the world.
Okay, one thing that I like about Europe is the transportation. How has Belgium done it so that we can also do, because transportation is very, very important. Anybody has to move from one point to the other to work. Where I come from, if it rains, problems. Maybe you can't go to work. You might not have a car to go to work. It might take you several hours to go to work, which it will reduce your productivity in a day. How has Belgium done it for the past years?
We're a small country, a small country, densely populated, in fact. So I think it's a little bit different from the place you are. Most people have a car here. There are so many cars that you always have traffic jams, so that's not good also. So we know we have to, for example, invest more in public transport, trains and so. But I think one of the things that's important, what a country has to do if you want to develop a stable organization, you have to give people access to jobs, and that means transport. And I think public transport can be an answer to it. I think also in Africa people move more to the city. Cities become bigger and bigger. We live in an age where cities will be much more important than in the past, because there it happens. There is the culture, there are the resources, there are the jobs. So I think if you have growing cities, create good growing cities, good housing, affordable housing, good roads, good, let's say, medical care, good schools. So that are important things, because if you are not educated, of course your skills are not really developed. So also investing in education is an important task. Public transport, education, affordable houses. I think that are three main things that every country has to take in account.
I would want us to go by, just mention health and education. How have you improved it here?
The education, the challenge here was that you know, some people, at home, the parents didn't have the skills all the time to help them, because sometimes they didn't speak the language, sometimes they couldn't make time for their kids. Of course, everybody loves his kids, but doesn't know always how can I help my kid in a good way to be successful at school. And we try to create a buddy system, where people who have the skills on a voluntary basis help those families. That's one small project that helped to give people more opportunities. Also, we support schools in trying to find ways that those who are not successful can still have a diploma and go on with their life. That's one of the main things we did. Focus on those people who now, because of their family situation, in fact, cannot be very successful at school, because the support, we ask a lot from parents if your kids go to school, they have not the capacity, they don't understand it, don't know how to do it. Let's help those families, and let's do it on a very, let's say, low basis with voluntary people, buddies who help the families, speak with the parents, explain what can be done, help them to understand what the school asks from them, support those families, and it works.
One thing that some of our leaders do complain about is money to finance their plans, their projects. Does the system also here face same challenges?
Of course, the needs are endless and the money is limited. It's always, if you are in a poor country, you feel it, but in a rich country, to be honest, it's the same, because the dreams of the people become bigger. And the demands towards the local government become bigger. So it's always making choices, and that's the most difficult thing. Also, be creative, and again, but that's the liberal in me. I don't think the government has to do everything. You have to. People can do a lot by themselves also. They can develop a lot of things themselves, but give them the opportunity to do it. That's also an important thing, yeah.
Thank you very much, Bart Thomas. Your final words to everybody watching you right now, your last words?
I think be optimist. It's a moral duty, but also understand very well that you not only ask things from the government and from your society, but also ask yourself, what can I do to make my community stronger? And everybody can help.
Thank you, Anita. I'll see you again for us to have a conversation. So I talked to Bart Thomas, who happens to be the mayor of Mechelen, a city here in Antwerp, Belgium. My name is Zionfelix. Thank you very much for watching. I'm sure come 13th October 2024, everybody who is eligible to vote is going to vote for Bart Thomas, for him to continue what he's been doing since 2001 here in Mechelen, Antwerp, Belgium. Bye-bye.